It's January 7th, 1943. Inside a cheap room at the New Yorker hotel, an 86-year-old man lies dead. He has no money. He has no family. But within hours of his death, agents from the FBI burst into his room. They crack open his safe. They seize all his private diaries, his blueprints, and his trunks full of research. Why? Because the United States government was terrified of what was inside. They were looking for the blueprints to a weapon he called the Death Beam, a machine he claimed could shoot down 10,000 airplanes from 250 miles away. This man wasn't a supervillain. He was Nikola Tesla, the man who basically invented the 20th century. If you're watching this video right now, it's because of him. The power light in your room, Tesla. The wireless internet, Tesla. Remote controls, electric motors, neon lights, Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. But how does a man who gave the world so much end up dying completely alone, talking to pigeons with the FBI raiding his room? Well, welcome to Facechain. Today, we are going to experience the unbelievable, kind of crazy, and totally tragic life story of Nikola Tesla. And trust me, his story starts exactly how you'd expect a mad scientist's life to start. Tesla was born around midnight on July 10th, 1856, in a tiny village in what is now Croatia. And he was born right in the middle of a terrifying lightning storm. The storm was so bad that the midwife helping his mother give birth got scared. She said the lightning was a bad omen. She looked at the baby and said, "This child will be a child of darkness." But his mother looked right back at her and said, "No, he will be a child of light." And she was right. But growing up wasn't easy. Tesla's dad was a strict priest. He wanted Nikola to become a priest too. Nikola hated the idea. He wanted to study engineering and build things. When Tesla was 17, he caught a horrible disease called cholera. He was stuck in bed for 9 months. He almost died multiple times. One day, when he was super close to the end, his dad came into the room crying. Nikola looked at him and said, "I might get well if you let me study engineering." His dad was so desperate to save his son, he promised to send him to the best engineering school in the world. Miraculously, Tesla got better. His dad kept his promise. And when Tesla went to school, people realized his brain didn't work like a normal human's. Tesla had photographic memory. He could read a book once and remember every single word. But his real superpower was his imagination. If you or I want to invent something, we have to draw it on paper, build a model, and see if it works. Not Tesla. Tesla would imagine a machine in his head. Then he would build it in his head. He would turn it on in his mind and let it run for weeks. Later, he would check his mental image to see which parts got worn out. He did all the testing inside his brain before he ever picked up a tool. But having a super brain wasn't enough to get rich. In 1884, Tesla decided he needed to go to America. Tesla arrived in New York City with exactly 4 cents in his pocket. He also had a few poems he wrote, a letter of recommendation to meet the most famous inventor in the world, Thomas Edison. Edison was already rich. He had invented the light bulb, and he was using something called direct current, or DC, to power New York. But there was a big problem. DC power was weak. It couldn't travel far. Edison had to build power plants every mile, and the wires sparked and started fires all the time. It was a mess. Tesla went to Edison and said, "I can fix your motors. I know a better way." Edison looked at the skinny immigrant and said, "If you can fix my machines, there's $50,000 in it for you." Back then, $50,000 was a massive fortune. So Tesla went to work. He worked 18 hours a day for months. He totally redesigned Edison's machines and made them amazing. When he was done, he went to Edison's office and asked for his $50,000. Edison just laughed. He looked at Tesla and said, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor. It was a joke." Edison didn't pay him a dime. He only offered him a tiny raise. Tesla was furious. He quit right on the spot. But things got worse. Because he didn't have any money, one of the smartest men in the world had to spend the next year digging ditches in the street for $2 a day just to buy food. But Tesla didn't give up. He knew his idea was better. He had invented something called alternating current, or AC. Unlike Edison's weak DC power, Tesla's AC power could travel hundreds of miles without losing power. Eventually, a businessman named George Westinghouse heard about Tesla's AC power and bought his patents. This started a massive fight in America called the War of the Currents. Edison was furious. He wanted DC to win. So, Edison started playing dirty. To prove Tesla's AC power was dangerous, Edison paid kids to catch stray dogs and cats. He then used Tesla's AC power to publicly zap the animals in front of crowds to scare people. It was pure evil. The truth always wins. In 1893, there was a massive World's Fair in Chicago. They needed someone to light up the fair. Edison asked for $1 million. Tesla and Westinghouse said they could do it for half the price using AC power. They won the bet. On opening night, the President of the United States pushed a button. Instantly, 100,000 light bulbs lit up the fairgrounds at the exact same time. The crowd went totally silent and then started cheering. It looked like magic. Tesla had won. Alternating current became the standard for the entire globe. Every time you plug your phone into a wall today, you are using the AC power system that Tesla invented. Now that Tesla was famous and had some money, he went completely wild. This is the part of his life where he basically became a real-life comic book scientist. First, let's talk about the earthquake machine. Tesla built a steam-powered vibrating machine. It was small enough to fit in your pocket. One day, in his New York lab, he strapped this little machine to a steel pillar and turned it on. At first, nothing happened, but the machine started matching the vibrations of the building. Slowly, the whole building started to shake. Then, the windows shattered. Plaster fell from the ceilings. In the police station down the street, heavy furniture started sliding across the floor. Tesla had accidentally created a mini earthquake in the middle of Manhattan. Just as the police broke down his door to see what was happening, Tesla grabbed a heavy sledgehammer and smashed his own invention to pieces so it would not bring the whole building down. Then there was the remote control boat. In 1898, he brought a little toy boat to a giant indoor pool in New York. The boat didn't have any strings attached, but when Tesla pressed buttons on a wooden box, the boat turned left, turned right, and stopped. Today, we call that a remote control, but back then, the crowd lost their minds. Some people thought it was magic. Others actually believed Tesla had trained a tiny monkey and hid it inside the boat to steer. But my absolute favorite story is how Nikola Tesla cured the famous writer Mark Twain. Tesla and Mark Twain were great friends. Now, Twain had a gross problem. He was terribly constipated. He couldn't go to the bathroom, and he was miserable. Tesla told Twain to come to his lab and stand on a special vibrating metal platform. Twain thought it was fun, but after about 2 minutes of shaking, Twain suddenly turned pale, jumped off the platform, and sprinted to the nearest toilet. Tesla's vibrations had, well, loosened things up. He wasn't just having fun, though. In 1901, Tesla practically predicted the future. He pitched an idea to a rich banker for a world wireless system. Tesla said he could build a tiny device that fit in your pocket. This device could instantly receive news, secure messages, and music through invisible waves in the air. He literally predicted the smartphone and Wi-Fi over 100 years before the iPhone was invented. But extreme genius usually comes with extreme weirdness. And Tesla had plenty of it. As he got older, his brain started playing tricks on him. Today, we know he suffered from severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. Here are some of the weirdest things Tesla did. First, the rule of 3. Tesla was obsessed with the number 3. Before he walked into a building, he had to walk all the way around the block 3 times. When he ate dinner, he demanded exactly 18 napkins, which is a multiple of 3. He would sit at his table and obsessively polish his silver forks and knives until they sparkled perfectly. Second, the pearl phobia. Tesla had a total physical hatred of pearls. If a woman wearing a pearl necklace walked into the room, he felt physically sick. If a secretary came to work wearing pearls, he would literally send her home for the day. Third, sleep. Tesla claimed he only slept 2 hours a night. He would just take tiny cat naps during the day to keep his brain fresh. Fourth, the toe squishing. Every single night before bed, Tesla would aggressively squish his toes exactly 100 times per foot. Yes, you heard that right. He believed it stimulated his brain cells. These quirks make him seem a little crazy, but they also show how his brain never ever stopped working. It was always running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But soon, that super fast brain was going to crash. Tesla's biggest dream was also his biggest mistake. He did not just want to wire cities with electricity. He wanted to give free wireless energy to the whole planet. He believed he could shoot electricity right through the air and the ground, like a radio wave. He got a massive loan from a rich banker named J.P. Morgan and built a giant, scary-looking tower in New York called Wardenclyffe Tower. But halfway through building it, the banker asked a simple question. If anyone can pull this electricity out of the air for free, where do I put the meter? How do I charge people for it? When Tesla admitted it would be free for everyone, the banker pulled all the money. No one wanted to invest in free energy. Tesla went bankrupt. The beautiful tower was torn down and sold for scrap metal just to pay for Tesla's hotel bills. From that moment on, Tesla was a broken man. He moved into cheaper and cheaper hotel rooms. As he grew older and lonelier, he stopped hanging out with humans and started hanging out with pigeons. He would go to the park every day to feed them. But there was one pigeon in particular, a pure white female pigeon. Tesla became obsessed with her. He actually told a reporter, "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life." When that pigeon died, Tesla said he knew his life's work was finished. But there is one final, crazy twist to the story. In his final years, Tesla started telling the newspapers that he had invented a death ray. He said it was a particle beam weapon, so powerful it could melt airplane engines from 250 miles away. People thought he was just a crazy old man making things up. But the US government was not taking any chances. World War II was happening, and they were terrified that spies might steal the idea. So, when Tesla died on that cold January day in 1943, the FBI swooped in. They took everything, trunks full of papers, locked safes, old boxes. Everything was locked away in secret government vaults. Years later, the government released some of the files and said, "Do not worry, there was no death ray." But they did not release all the files. To this day, some of Tesla's final ideas are still missing. Nikola Tesla died without a penny to his name. Thomas Edison got rich and famous. But history has a funny way of fixing things. Look around you today. The modern world is not built on Edison's ideas. It is built on Tesla's. The AC power grid, remote controls, radio waves, robots, and the dream of wireless technology. It is all his. He was a genius. He was a weirdo. He was a man out of time. What do you guys think? Do you think the government is still hiding Tesla's death ray secrets? Let me know down in the comments below. If you loved this story, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to Facechain for more mind-blowing stories about the craziest people in history. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.